it makes me think about the last time that the Taliban was in power. They not only brutally suppressed the human rights of their own citizens, but they actually welcomed in Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda prior to 9/11 and then wouldn't give them up afterwards. So allowing the Taliban to return to power and then to provide a safe haven for the type of terrorism that we have seen around the world and that was brought upon us on 9/11 makes me decide that we really probably do need to stay for the time being and let General Petraeus do his job and not set an arbitrary timetable for coming back.
All right, the next question will be for Mr. Van Dieven, and it will come from Mr. Rust.
Mr. Van Dieven, if you were elected, who would you likely vote for as Speaker of the House? The current Democrat Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the current Minority Leader John Boehner, or someone else? If someone else, why?
I can answer this question very easily. I would vote for U.S. Representative from Texas, Ron Paul. While he's a Republican, he has extreme libertarian leanings that I can agree with, and his foreign policy, he is very strong on foreign policy. He is a strict constitutionalist. He is an upholder of individual rights, and I would be honored to vote for Ron Paul for Speaker of the House.
Mr. Bill?
Well, I have declared myself an independent conservative, and so I don't really have this obligation to go with my party. And probably, definitely very disappointed with the way Nancy Pelosi ran the House. We'll have if she was a speaker, once again, we would have a single party in the House, the Senate, and then also the presidency. And this was probably part of the downfall of the Republican Party, is they had that same type of control. I'm not real keen on John Boehner either. He was there when all the bailouts were going on, whenever the Republicans were spending like drunken sailors when they didn't have to. And so I would think I would look for someone else. Probably my favorites are Jason Chaffetz, and he's a real practical thinking type person, or even Michelle Bachmann, because she essentially generated the Tea Party caucus in the House of Representatives, and that's the type of thinking that I'm looking for, someone that's going to follow the Constitution. Thank you.
Ms. Emerson?
I love John Boehner. He is a guy who came from humble beginnings, one of 11 kids, who worked from the time he was 8 years old in his dad's tavern, mopping floors, living as best he could with so many brothers and sisters. And then he built up a small business from scratch. It wasn't a very big small business, but he was and still is a believer in having opportunities to do just that, to have lower tax policies that will enable us to create the jobs we want, to get rid of regulations, to actually determine how much a regulation is going to cost a small business. And, you know, he's built something from scratch. And I think he really understands how important it is to give those opportunities to the American people. So I'm for John Boehner.
Mr. Sowers?
Well, John Boehner also supports the privatization of Social Security and putting Medicare on vouchers. Me, I'm Tommy Sowers. I'm a veteran running for Congress. I'm running to bring new blood to D.C. And I would vote for new blood. I believe in term limits. This current Congress is the oldest and the longest serving Congress in the history of the Republic from 1789 on. And the more years people stay in D.C., the more things make sense in D.C. and don't make sense out here. So I would vote for a new legislator, a legislator much more connected to the people, and someone that has served no more than 10 years. Thank you.
All right, our next question is again for Mr. Bill, and Mr. Smythe has it.
Mr. Bill, political fundraising and how it's done has been a significant issue in this campaign. What does your fundraising indicate about you and your opponent's candidacies?
Well, like I said in my initial speech, whenever I decided to run, the normal procedure is to get with a big party, go ahead and generate as much money as you can, take it from big donors, take it from lobbyists, take it from your best friends, continuously bug them for that kind of thing. And I thought, well, these are what I call ingredients in a cake. If we keep putting the same ingredients in a cake, we're going to get the same cake. And if we generate our congressmen to go represent us with the same techniques, big donations, lobbyists, political action committees, all these things come into play, who do you answer to? And the thing is like, if your neighbor pushes you out of a ditch, they're going to look to you and say, hey, buddy, where's that thank you? Okay? Just imagine what pressure lobbyists put on congressmen now when the fact that they say, I've got all this money for you so you buy advertising and get into the House. I've got all my associates involved with this so you could get into the House. Guess what? I want something in return, and that's the way it's been going. Now, our own campaign, as I openly stated before, only my wife and I are paying for this. And we're running our campaign with hard work, we're running with creativity, we're running it with on our own dime, is what I'm saying. And I managed to get on this, sitting right here with these other three people, on a $5,000 budget, whereas two of my competitors spent over $500,000 to get to the same spot. So the question you're going to have to ask yourself is, who are you going to trust the most with your money? And that tax money is your money, and don't forget it.
Ms. Emerson, a comment?
Repeat the question, please.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes. Political fundraising and how it's done has been a significant issue in this campaign. What does your fundraising indicate about you and your opponent's candidacies?
Well, I am very, very proud of the fact that we have so many folks here in Missouri's 8th Congressional District and throughout the state of Missouri who are helping our campaign. As a matter of fact, more than half of the money that we have raised has been from individuals either in the district or in the state. And I'm also very proud of the fact that the Farm Bureau Political Action Committee and the operating engineers who helped work on the bridge, their Political Action Committee helped me. But at the end of the day, the only people that I report to in Congress are my constituents. The only people whose interests concern me are our constituents. But yet, some of these groups are, in fact, represented by political action committees. They belong to groups. And it makes me think of some folks here in the district who belong to the VFW PAC, and they have supported me. And we have other folks who are real estate agents in Missouri, and they have supported me too. But at the end, it's our constituents. They're the ones who make the best decisions and to whom I listen all the time.
Mr. Sowers?
What we have here is a very clear choice from politics as usual in D.C. or a different type of politics. I've received contributions from 3,700 individuals. Where Congresswoman Emerson is just about 50% from individuals, I'm at 98%. People around this nation are excited about this campaign, the opportunity to truly get new blood in D.C. So we have government of, by, and for the people versus of, by, and for the lobby. About 2 weeks ago, Congresswoman Emerson did a $1,000 a head fundraiser in a D.C. lobbyist shop and invited lobbyists there. And she served them pork. I cannot make that up. With me, you get something different. Look, we're working our tail off on this. We really are. And I'm proud that we've been able to fuel this campaign. That said, I agree with you, Larry, we absolutely have to have campaign finance reform.
Mr. Van Dieven?
Well, I don't have any personal campaign finances, unless you count gas money or breakfast at Hardee's. And to those people that did contribute to me, thank you. I would like to focus on the recent U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United that overturned parts of McCain-Feingold. I believe that corporations, labor unions, PACs should have the same right to freedom of speech that individuals enjoy. All campaign finance should be limitless but transparent. I also believe that our electoral process is antiquated. And I think that we are seriously underrepresented. It is physically impossible for one person to adequately represent a district the size of Missouri 8th Congressional District. If elected, I would focus my efforts on alternative voting systems and adequate representation, as opposed to draconian campaign finance laws that are actually in place to prevent people like me from running for public office.
All right, thank you all. Now, we've just about reached the midway point in the debate, and as agreed, we're going to now take the questions in the reverse order that we've been taking them. So that means this next question will start with Mr. Bill, and it comes from Mr. Rust.
Mr. Bill, there are at least two components to the issue of illegal immigration in the United States: those who are already here and those who would try to come here illegally. How should the United States address both of these issues?
As we've gone door to door, we talked quite a bit about illegal immigration, and that stands at the top of several people's opinion. And what I think we need to do is we need to recognize most of our illegal immigrants are coming across the Mexican border, and we need to seal the Mexican border so that we don't have this influx. The other side of the coin is, to answer the second part of the question, is that we have around probably between 12 and 20 million illegal immigrants in our midst. And it would be a very difficult thing to accomplish to move all these people out back to where they came from. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to say, once the border is sealed, not after, not during, not before, but once the border is sealed, we're going to have to say, all right, you committed a crime. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you are. And we want you to continue to function, but we also want you to pay a fine for violating our laws because you are illegal. And we, at the same time, we want you to work towards getting your citizenship back, or getting your citizenship to start with. The only reason I bring this up is because I think that's more of a practical solution as opposed to saying, well, let's just send them all home. I just don't think that's going to quite work, and so that's what I try to do, is find practical ideas that are going to help us. It may not be too popular, but I think that's probably the solution we're going to end up getting to. But it's critical that we also, anytime we have criminals that we can send back, that we send them back as well. Now, the Republicans and the Democrat parties have both had plenty of opportunities to go ahead and fix these things, and they've refused to do it. And the reason is because they wanted them counted in the 2010 census so that they can improve or adjust representation in the House of Representatives. Thank you.
Mr. Van Dieven, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Bill that Congress doesn't seem to want to fix this political hot potato. I believe in the free movement of peaceful people across borders. A large part of the immigration problem in the southern border states is a result of our failed war on drugs. On the one hand, we can increase our efforts 100-fold by locating, detaining, and deporting 12 to 20 million people that do not want to be found, increasing raids on employers, erecting an expensive and ineffective wall, or we can create a dynamic society that recognizes the demand for immigrant labor, especially unskilled immigrant labor. If elected, I support issuing additional work visas to those participants in the underground economy. Our immigration laws should be constructed to consider our long-term economic goals.
Mr. Sowers, a comment?
Well, I agree with much of what Larry said, and I think part of it is we've got to get some new blood in D.C. Look, there's been Democrat, Republican-held Congresses, Democrat and Republican-held presidencies, and they have not been able to solve this problem. To me, it's fairly simple. We have to start by securing the border, and then we have to do workplace enforcement with teeth.